Hello and welcome everybody. You're thinking what's wrong with the Airfix 148th Hurricane? Well, it's an Airfix 148th aircraft. That's what's wrong with it. And so I need a brake to get my head back in place. So what better than a classic amongst classics, the Matchbox A-34 Mark 1 Comet. Also, I apologise because we're going to get yes in the background doing close to the edge. It's taken ages to actually get to this point and sit down, and I put it on and I thought, right, well, blow it, I'm just going to do this. So a masterpiece of music for a masterpiece of plastic. And where does that leave us? Well, I've got to make it. It's all there. That's a great cover. They didn't even need the background, did they? Just a wild sky. There. Then you get the landscape come diorama and jazzy instructions. But also, because I got this off the internet, got that thrown in, and somehow they managed to squeeze it into the box. I don't recognise that. There's vehicle tracks, then there's what appears to be a very, very bad beard, and that's a spare, that's a separate part that's been put in, and there appears to be a little bit of stress around there as if a tree's been pulled out. I don't recognise the colour of the plastic, and I don't recognise the thing, but it's probably Matchbox, and I'll kick myself that I don't know. But anyway, let's make the model. Yep, total mass retain. Can't beat that, can you? I was just looking at this, 1974. And this Yes album's 1972. I don't live in the past. I was aiming to live in the future, but it never arrived. Just things dwindling into collapse. So that's why I'm doing this right now. Oh yeah, and I've got some glue, 2 tubes in fact, and one of those Revel ones with the fine tube, and I was fine they dry up. Not the tube, the whole pot. Never mind. Well, the base of the hull was a bit trickier than I remember it being, so I'm going to leave it to dry before I start forcing wheels upon it, which means I go for the top of the hull, which I think has got a little bit of a bend in it, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. Loads of light showing through there then, so it is a bit warped, so we're going to need a weight on that. Seems to be a little bit of warping in this one bit as well, on that side. Thought I'd better stop at this point for a quick review. I'm casting a shadow, funny old light today. Well, it's raining like mad, no wonder. I've given it a bit of a spray, 2 shades of green, not 3 for a change, a bit of brown and green, and I was quite pleased with the way those kind of backboards of the hull came out. You may have noticed I've taken them off though, and that's because they just weren't fitting particularly well. And there's me thinking this would be a swift and easy, lovely little job. I don't remember it being fiddly. It's funny, I don't remember most models, I don't go around remembering them. But when you make a model that you've done before, some things come back. And I remember the gun mantle being awful, and it was again. I don't remember the hull being bad, but I think there's a little bit of warping. Well, I mean, I can see it, look, watch. And that's on both of them. So I think that's just caused a little bit of stress. And what with a bit of warping at the back that I haven't quite cleared up, things aren't quite fitting together the further back you go. So popped it off and hoping that a solid structure will allow these to fit on better. I'll have to put the tracks on before I slot it all in though. So maybe I'll be doing wheels and tracks next. Definitely not putting any of the fiddly little bits on. They'll be knocked flying. What do I remember something about that. Oh, did a mate have one of these and he knocked the gun off while he was making it? Something like that. It will come back to me. Right, I nearly ran ahead of myself there, but I can safely say here we are. All the parts are on. And it went alright. It didn't quite go as alright as I'd hoped. There's something amiss with the hull. I don't remember that being a problem when I was a kid. I remember the gun mantlet being a problem. One thing there was, as I said, was there was a bit of a warp in the top of the hull, and I don't think I've completely resolved that. Also, weirdly, the plastic was a bit soft in places. Now, the sprue was as brittle as can be, but in particular, the plate behind the wheels was very bendy and a little warped in both instances. I managed to get one side on fairly well, but the other side was a bit of a struggle. And I think that has contributed partly to the problem. I don't remember the plastic being bendy at all. I don't know if this is age or if this is like a later moulding, casting or something. But it did present a little bit of a problem. Also, foolishly, I tried to avoid using too much glue, because I feel I use too much glue. Basically, I use it, it's my get out of jail card when any problem arises. So I was trying to be sensitive and do better than I did as a kid, and that failed completely, because in just generally like moving the thing around and spraying it a little, the wheels started falling off. One by one, off they came. And so I've put them back on, and then with a bit of glue, and then put shed loads of glue on once it's sturdy to hold them in place, but I don't feel that's quite right. And then along here, I think that one is a little bit splayed, and generally the ones on this side don't quite look vertical enough. It's only a fraction out, but you know, my eyes are saying, yeah, this isn't good. I feel that is my fault. So the key problem with this model that I have encountered is there's something I can't quite put my finger on with the hull, but part of the problem is soft or slightly warped pieces, but only slightly, and far better model makers than I will do a far better job. This is a brilliant model. Despite all that, I enjoyed every minute but about 3. Now, got to do some wear and tear and rough stuff, and got to sort the base out. And I'm in the workshop, which has had one of those periods where it's got worse rather than better. And there's been I do not know what this is doing here. Smuggler's Brew. I don't actually drink tea. British though I am, shock horror. Look, we've ended up with all this stuff. And I think somewhere under here is my original... Ah, no it's not. I can see it. Look at this. I knew it was around somewhere. I'm using it to hold fish plates. Well, we'll have to do something with that, won't we? Hang on a second. So now I've got to find somewhere for fish plates. But we can do that. We can do that. I've got lots of little pots. Here we are. This is not what it used to be. This was actually really good. And for some reason it had a respray. And this isn't a colour that is in my kind of spray can vocabulary these days. I can tell you that right now looking at it. One of the things I really did really well, and I'm really sad about, is the kind of puddle at the bottom. I only put a thin layer of paint on, and then I put a load of glue on, and the paint started to rise up through the glue. It sort of dissolved. and it looked like a really good muddy puddle. I was really proud of that, and then for some reason, goodness knows when, probably in the 80s, I've sprayed it. What a stupid thing to do. Oh yeah, what's next? Next, wear and tear, as I was saying. Why did I ask myself that? Wear and tear. Mostly just washes, I think, and then perhaps a tiny bit of dry brushing. Here. Oh, come on. Where has my whole machine gun gone? In moving the thing over here, I've lost that. Oh, there's always something in there. Wonder what we can do. Anyway, going to do washes now, because doing that would probably have knocked it off anyway. Oh, what a pain. Yeah, I can see a wobbly wheel. You see that? Look, they're all splaying out. Have to deal with that at the end, I think. Ugh, what a mess. Let's see how that comes out, shall we? God, what a dollop. Yeah, we'll see how that comes out. I'm going to close the whole thing down now. We'll come back to part 2 and we'll see how the airplane's getting on as well. So, end of part 1. Thank you for watching. This is going to be a thriller now, isn't it? Alright, here we go. See you soon.